I mean, it is true. There's a fact. It's just I have observed this more and more. When I indulge in something sweet, it makes you crave it even more. I mean, you have one and you want another, and you want another, and you want another. So that reinforces me to have a ration that I'm really aiming for. Again, not perfect, but for instance, like the chocolate covered peanuts. That's been a key to my strategy here. Instead of getting a big candy bar and just mowing through it in 2 or 3 bites, uh, I am literally popping one chocolate covered peanut in at a time. This is something that would have been unthinkable months ago.
That's right.
And
it would have been for sure. And it's been something I've been telling you now for, I cannot remember how long, to slow it down, and you're doing it now.
It sounds so easy to say that, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was not easy to get here.
I know, but it wasn't. No. It never is. It never is. Your body wants it bad.
Yeah. And I mean, I could still lose control if I let myself, but I'm really, I'm doing so much better about being deliberate with that. And so I put, I ration out the amount for the day that I'm going to have. I like them cold, so I put them in the refrigerator. Have a little bowl that helps me, that's the right amount. So as I'm plucking one away here or there, that thing goes down, and I'm really trying to stick to what my prescribed amount was. And so if I blow it all early in the day, I'm cooked for the rest of the day, man, or else I'm going to be all the way screwing up. And now I'm not suffering from such temptation as I was before. It is hard. If I could get to a place where I did not crave the sweetness, I don't even know what the potential of this would look like, man. Like, if there was like
the way to get there. I mean, and I don't in a million years expect for this to happen. Okay, what I'm about to say. So I don't take this as the next step in the process, because
you're not taking me back to Snickers protein.
No, definitely not. No, we're not going back there for sure. But I don't think you're ever going to want to go here, what I'm about to say. But the quickest way to eliminate the cravings is to eliminate the sugar. So if you don't have the sugar there, the cravings will eventually disappear. They really will. But it takes time. When it's there, so you have that middle meal, so it's always going to be there. I get to have my sugar in the middle of the day, and you start consuming it. Your body automatically at that point, when you start to eat it, is going to be craving. After each one, is going to want more and more and more, and that's when the cravings start to accelerate. And that's when it starts to. If you didn't have that limitation built in, if you weren't using the front part of your mind, your logical brain, to determine, I can only eat this much, and this is the amount I'm going to ration, and I have to stick to this, and I'm disciplining myself to stay with this amount, and that's in this bowl, and I can't exceed that. If you were not doing that, you would eat 10 times as much, because your body would continue to crave it as the day went on. You would not have a protein dinner, because there'd be no reason to, if you didn't make the decision to have that protein dinner. And this is all discipline. I don't know if you've computed in your mind what you're actually doing as discipline, but it is like you're telling yourself, for breakfast, I'm only having protein. For dinner, I'm only having protein. In the middle of the day, I'm having this bowl and nothing more. That's all discipline. Everything that I just mentioned is you telling yourself, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to do anything more than that, or I'm not going to do anything different than that. That's discipline. The lack of discipline is when you don't have those boundaries on what you're doing, and you decide, I'm going to start eating the sugar, and I'm just never going to stop, because there's no reason to. There's no boundary. There's no reason to stop. There's no weight loss goal that I have. There's no limitation that I put on myself. So I can just keep going until I run out. And then when I run out, I can go buy more. So it's very simple to continue. And that's the way you've been leading your life for the past nearly 50 years. So this is a total seismic shift gradually for you to get here, of course, over time, because you could not have gone from where you were 8 months ago to now without slowly but surely training yourself to have that discipline. But if I had introduced that word on week 1, you would have laughed me off the podcast for even suggesting such a thing, and you would have never shown up again, because it wasn't going to happen on week 1. No way. You aren't going to be putting these kind of parameters. If I was the one who was trying to restrict you, and I told you do exactly what you're doing now on week 1, absolutely. What are the chances of that happening? Tell me.
0.
Yes, exactly. 0. Even if we could even go lower than 0, because it just ain't going to happen. But what you did over 8 months is you slowly but surely introduced discipline into your own life. I didn't even introduce it. You did. We're showing up every week and we're talking about it, and you're weighing yourself and we're going over the numbers, but you're trying to figure out in your head, how can I make this work? How can I make this work while still being able to enjoy myself and live a fulfilling life? Since food's been such a big part of it. And that's what you did. You negotiated yourself a new method. And that new method was, I'm going to have protein at the beginning and end of my day, no carbs. In the middle of my day, I'm going to have fun. But you noticed a few months ago, you were having too much fun in the middle of the day. And so now you decided, I'm going to change that around by trying to limit myself as to what I do in the middle of the day. And I'm going to have a structured amount that I can consume. It's still going to be fun, but it's going to be limited fun. There's a limitation on that fun. So that way I can still achieve the goal that I have, which is to lose weight every week. And it's working flawlessly because of that, because you put limitations on your breakfast and your dinner, protein, high protein, low carb, and then the middle of the day, high carb, but limited carb, because you're limiting the amount that you consume. That's the perfect game plan. I mean, it'll work for anyone, but for you, you've been able to get to the point where this works, where you can actually do this, where you feel satisfied, knowing every week I can look forward to that middle meal. But we were talking a little bit earlier about the addiction to sugar and the desire for it. It would go away if you were to transition completely off of it. It would go away eventually. It would take time. I don't expect or even advise you to do that, because I think this is such a big part of your life, that the food is such a big part of your life, that the better way to do it is in that middle meal, to continue to have that limitation upon yourself, so you can look forward to it every day, but that you don't go overboard. That allows you to achieve everything that you want. Every day you're still able to have that. You know it's coming. You know you can enjoy it. You know you can partake in it every day, every single day. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's no 7 days a week, no break from that. But you're just going to put some sort of governor on it, so that way I know going in that if I exceed this amount, it's going to interrupt the goal that I have for Friday when I weigh in. So I'm going to limit it to this, and I'm going to have fun with this, and I'm going to make it last as long as I possibly can by eating one peanut after another as slowly. So that way I can savor each and every bite. And what happens is, when you slow down that way, you're actually able to get something out of the anticipation too. Because before, you would go and you would start eating, and it would be so quick and so fast that you would end up eating 1,000 calories before you know it, and you'd be full, and it would all be done until the next meal, because you'd be full, and then you get hungry and you'd start all over again. Now you're not going to get full, but you're able to slow the pace down enough that you're actually able to enjoy the moments in between as well, because you got more left. You got more left. You got more left. And then when you're winding down to the end, of course, that's always the challenging part, that, once you see you're only 2 peanuts left, like, I'm going to stretch these out as long as I possibly can, but I can only go so far, right? So I only got 2, so it's not going to last very long. Each peanut's only going to last a couple seconds. So I draw that out, and then you're done. When you're done, the discipline is in, what do I do next? Do I live up to my expectation I set for myself and not go into the refrigerator and try to grab more? Do I just stick with what's in the bowl? Or do I just nullify that and keep going? And that's truly, when you have that mastered, the fact that I can dictate that I'm going to eat this amount and nothing more, that I'm going to be able to get on with the rest of my day, knowing that tomorrow I get to do it all over again, but I have to wait till tomorrow. You're building up certain muscles in your brain that I would say were atrophied, but were never existed. Okay. You're building them up from nothing. You literally have built them up from nothing. 8 months ago, you built them up from they weren't there. They didn't exist. If you did a biopsy of that, you couldn't find them. But now they're there. They're there and they're growing. And you know, you'll continue to grow them each and every week as you continue to do this. The discipline that you bring forth every single day makes those muscles stronger. And what happens when a muscle gets stronger? If you're lifting a certain weight and the muscle gets stronger, the weight becomes easier. That means the whole process becomes easier for you the more time goes by and the more often you do this. That's why you are where you are today. That's why when you look back 8 months ago, you could never have envisioned yourself doing what you're doing now, nor could I, because it wouldn't have been possible. But it is possible today because you put in the work. The past 8 months, you've shown up every single week and you've done what's necessary to train yourself to live a different lifestyle. And it took week after week after week after week of practice to get where you are now.
That's true. That's all true. I think, one thing that you always hear people say, and this is completely reinforced with what you're talking about right now, and how I ration out my fun stuff for the day, if you will, and that is, I need to not be hungry when I'm eating that food. I got to fill my belly. And I'm not perfect at this at all, but I do better during the midday if I satisfy myself to a large extent with the healthier food that's lower in carbs, that's higher in protein, before I indulge in the majority of the snack. And because then the satisfaction factor is already pretty well knocked out, and when I run out of the candy, it's not like I'm just dead. You know what I'm saying? Like dying. Like I need to have more. I'm actually in a better place, better position to handle that than I ever remember being before.